Hey everybody. So welcome to the weekly Facebook Live, the Wild Woman Codes. And welcome to everybody who's here. And I'm really looking forward to sharing a little bit more today about a topic that is really close to my heart, that is something that I've been working with in my life. I continue to work with this, and it's something that I hear from a lot of the clients that I work with as well. So let's just take a few moments as everybody gathers. Hey, Chels, so good to see you, love. And let me just make sure that this is streaming everywhere. So yeah, this is the intention of these Facebook Lives is really to give you some inspiration and like masterclass dose of some potent and important tools that I use in my everyday life, ones that are real life situation applicable. And the inspiration of this has come from my Wild Women Temple group. Some of the sisters are on here right now. It's good to see you all, which is a monthly membership portal, an online sanctuary for a global sisterhood to gather, for women to really come together and do this work and not only learn about it from a theoretical or a conversational perspective, but actually implement it into our everyday life, because I know that many of you probably have a whole bunch of tools. You probably have practices, you know, some meditations, you know, some mantras, you know that you can chant them, but the challenge often lies in actually implementing them into your everyday life and doing them. And so these Wild Woman Codes Facebook Lives are really intended to support you to use this wisdom that is so available, that is so important, that has made such a huge difference in my own life, and to implement them and integrate them into yours so that hopefully you can have a freer, more authentic, more alive and juicy life. And so we'll get started right away here. Oh, it's so good to see you all. I'm on my phone. I'm realizing I can't see everybody that's on here, but if you put a little hello, then I'll know that you're here. Hey, Ivy, it's so good to see you. Wow, I haven't seen you for ages, huh? It's been a while since I've been in Calgary. So yeah, just pop a little hello. Let me know where you're tuning in from. And if the topic is particularly feels poignant for you, and today it's all about people pleasing. So if you feel like you're a people pleaser and the ways that maybe that shows up in your life, also pop that into the chat because I'd love to hear. I'll share a little bit about my journey. Hey, Veronica. Hey, Danielle. Hey, Brayden. Yeah, good to see y'all. So for me, my people pleasing journey has started since I was a very small human being on this planet, and like many of us. And so when I was a little girl, I really learned to stay quiet and not make a fuss. And for me, this message came in very loud and clear in my family, which was a refugee family. So for those of you that don't know, I'm Chinese with Vietnamese heritage. And my parents, my grandparents lived in Vietnam. And after the war, they were refugees. They went to Paris. That's where my parents met, actually. And then very shortly after that, they came to Canada. And when we landed in Canada, I was born shortly after that. And I lived in a house of 13 people, all adults, all working super hard around the clock in order to make ends meet. A little 2-bedroom apartment in Forest Lawn in Calgary. And so the message that I got was, Alice, you need to be good. You need to behave, because if you don't behave, then all of us are going to have to worry about you. And then we won't be able to do the work that we need to put food on the table. And so we need you to do what we tell you to do and not make a fuss. And so that was the message that I got. And I really wanted, like most children do, to make their parents happy and to make sure that our primary caregivers are available to give us what we need in order to survive. When we're young beings, we need our caregivers to help us survive. That's just the reality of being a small human being. The only real defense we have is our cuteness and our methods of seduction, which is something else that we learned when we were babies, to seduce the world, to seduce our caregivers around us in order to get our needs met, and to please those around us so that we get fed, so that they pick us up when we cry, so that we are held, so that we have food, so that we have love, affection, shelter, all of these things. And so the people pleasing starts by learning how to read our caregivers. And some of us may have learned how to please others with a lot of different strategies. And if you know your strategies, you can also pop them in the chat. I always love coming out with our shadows and seeing the ways that we seduce and manipulate the world, either consciously or unconsciously. And so some of you may have learned how to people please by, like me, being really quiet and being really good. Others of us may have learned to please others by actually making a big hello, here I am. Look how smart I am. Look how talented I am. Look how brilliant I can be, in all the different ways that that can show up in the world. Essentially, look at me. And so that's another way that we can try and people please, is by overachieving, by developing skills, talents. Yeah, Chelsea, coming off as happy all the time. Exactly. That's such a huge one. This constant smile that is plastered on our face, right, is so common. Actually, one of the things, the first things that I do in any training, any group process that I offer, is we get people together to eye gaze, to be with each other without words. And the invitation, the cue I always give, is to let go of your mask. And you can even try and do that right now. If you have a smile on your face, what happens if you actually just drop the jaw and let your lips soften and let go of the smile? And that can be really shaky for a lot of people. Many times eye gazing with somebody for the first time and not having this mask plastered on our face can feel actually super uncomfortable because it's so unfamiliar. And so, yeah, that's a great example. Thanks for that one, Chelsea. And so, yeah, this people-pleasing strategy develops at a very young age, and we learn a lot of different ways to do that. And it's okay, if you see these strategies in yourself, just know that it's okay that you develop them. We all do, because we are human beings that need each other in order to survive. And so there is a genuine care and a genuine desire for connection in groups and communities, through our desire to please, through our desire to support other people to be happy, let's say. So there is a gift and a real heartfulness to it. The distortion comes when we try and do everything to please other people. Yeah, Janet, great, by being reliable, available, getting things done, being organized, being on top of everything, in order for us to get this recognition, essentially, that I am valuable, that I am okay, that I am worthy, that I'm not going to be a pain in the butt for anybody. But that the people-pleasing often has this quality of wanting to show value, that we are valuable, so that people love us, so that we can get our needs met. Again, it all goes back to that. And so just going back to my own personal story that I was sharing, I really developed this strong people-pleaser. And I had this other pivotal moment in my life when I was, I think, 9 or 10 years old. And at that point, my dad had a few failed businesses, and he wanted to really make a good living for our family. And also he was tired of working at these blue-collar jobs where there was just so much maltreatment of the staff, including him. And so he went to Vietnam, and he went for a period of, I think, 6 months to a year, although honestly for me it felt like he was gone for 2 years. And I was a real daddy's girl. And so I remember being at the airport when he left, and I was just holding on to my father so tightly. My mom was there as well, and just holding on and say, "Daddy, please don't go, please don't go." And little Alice was just there wailing at the Calgary airport as my dad is like sobbing, trying to get on this long haul flight to go across the world and leave his family for months. And I was just sobbing and sobbing and sobbing. And I remember in those moments thinking, why can't I just be good enough for him to stay? Why aren't I good enough for my dad to stay? And even at that age, I knew why he was going. I knew that he loved me. I knew that he was going for our family. I knew that he was going because he wanted us to have a better life. And yet there was just that little girl inside that was like, why am I not good enough? And so from that, I really developed this, I need to be perfect. I cannot make a fuss for anybody. Like if I leave the dishes out and my roommate sees them before I'm ready to get them, I'm like over there right now being like, I'm so sorry I didn't do the dishes. I'm going to get to them right away, you know. Or if my partner's having a bad day and I know it's just his bad day, you know, but he says something off like, oh, you know, why wasn't this done or something. I can still to this day, it triggers this part of me that feels like, shit, I did something wrong. This person is now displeased with me, and what can I do to fix it? And I just went through this the other day, even with all my tools, all my practices, like hours of my day feeling like, shoot, I did something wrong, and that person's upset at me, and it's my fault, and I need to prove to them why I know better, or I should have done that, or I was just about to get there, and all of my defense mechanisms get out. And then I start to come out of myself. And that's where the distortion of the people-pleasing comes from, is when we start to abandon our own selves in order to meet the response of another person, or often the reaction of another person. Knowing that that person is probably just reacting because of what's happening inside themselves, and it actually has nothing to do with me and nothing to do with you. So yeah, I'm seeing, totally feel you, so familiar. Yeah, Janet, it's such a thing, isn't it? And Veronica, I'm just reading your response here. Always start to be insecure, talk sometimes too loud, too fast, take some attention, otherwise they leave my physical body a bit. Yeah, and it's so bad to recognize. I hear you, and it's totally fine. It's so common to do that we actually shoot out of our bodies because we're in our heads, right? When we're trying to please somebody else, often we're not in our own selves. So the nugget or gem that I would like to share with you today is when you notice these moments of people pleasing, when you notice that you are becoming obsessed in your thoughts or in your actions to make sure that everybody else is okay around you and forgetting what your own needs are, it's so important, first of all, to become aware of that moment. Awareness is always the key. And so first you become aware, oh gosh, look, right now, here I am doing this thing that I do. I know for me, my energy is kind of this energy when I'm trying to like make sure everybody else is around me. My eyes get a little bit brighter. I'm like, my head moves before my heart. That's often another one as well. And so then the practice is really to come back to self. Mike, it's so good to see you here. Actionable doer of things, acts of service, sometimes to the detriment of what should be a priority for me, being pushed down the line. Yeah, I learned that was a disservice to myself and the people in helping. I learned long ago to be aware, to catch myself, prioritize myself, and then work down the line. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And that's such an important key, Mike, what you just shared, is that awareness, and then knowing that it's actually a disservice to our own selves, and it's a disservice to everybody else around us when we are just trying to please everybody. We're actually not able to be present with what is, with what actually is happening, which can create us spinning into a deeper spiral of our own stories, of our own dramas, and then we can actually become really self-obsessed versus what I think our intention was to do, was to make sure that, there is peace, harmony around us, which is also a big need for many people pleasers, is the need for harmony and the need for peace. But if our internal system isn't in harmony, isn't in peace, then how can we possibly expect our external space to have peace and harmony as well? Okay, so, oh gosh, you guys have so many comments coming in. This is really great. So, Braden, often people please with people who have status quo. They're deemed better than us, so we please them. Yeah, that's such an interesting thing, isn't it? I actually had this moment where this happened twice this week. I've been doing client calls with women who are inside the Wild Women Temple to really like deep dive into their feedback, because we've been having this online sanctuary for 3 months. It's amazing. And I was trying to get their feedback, on what they're liking, what they're not. And I often start my client calls with tuning in, dropping in, taking a few breaths, and then taking a moment to acknowledge, okay, what is getting in the way of us being fully present right now? What is getting in the way of us being fully present right now? And 2 of the 10 clients that I talked to this week said, oh, I feel my heart pumping and I feel like I want to please you. Like I want to say something so that you'll think that I'm smart, or that you'll think that I'm insightful, or you'll think that, fill in the blank. And I just want you to know that if that happens, that's so common. I have those moments as well. If I'm talking on a new platform, like a new conference or something, this feeling of, oh my gosh, I want this person to know that I care. I want this person to know that I've got something smart to say. I want to impress this person. And I think that's often a thing that happens when, we have this perceived impression that there is somebody that has a bigger status quo than us, a higher worth, somebody that we just want to impress. And I think that also traces back to what I was talking about earlier about people pleasing, starting with our parents and our caregivers, because we think that they have something that we want. So that's a big one. So thank you for bringing that up. Okay, so here's the practice of people pleasing. So when you notice that you are getting into a moment where your people pleaser is coming out, first thing is awareness. Know that it's happening. And then the second piece is actually to allow the feeling and give it a little bit of space. And so right now, as you're watching, you can even do this with me, to just take one hand to your heart and one hand to your belly and close your eyes. And just taking a few breaths into your body right now. And if you can just imagine a situation where you might be wanting to caretake someone or extend beyond your capacity in the moment in order to help somebody else meet the needs that you think that they need to meet. Just notice what happens to your energy in that moment. Does your energy shrink back inside you? Does your energy move outside of you towards that other person? Does it put up a shield? Does your mind start to spin with all the different ways that you could help? And what happens to your body when you are in a moment where you notice that you want to be people-pleasing? And the next step right now is to really become aware of that sensation in the body. And take a few breaths into that feeling. Make some space around that desire to step out of yourself, or that habit, that pattern of stepping outside yourself. And then see if in this moment you can draw the energy back to your core. You can even imagine like there's a big magnet inside the core of your body. And all of the fragmented pieces of you. All of those pieces that are over here wanting to support this person, and over there wanting to make sure that they know that you're fine, and over here because you didn't do the dishes that day you said you would. All of these pieces that have been scattered or fragmented in your attempt to prove something, show your value. Take a few breaths and bring that in like this big magnet in the core of your body, just magnetizing all of these fragments of you back into your core. And then as you do that, open your mouth and let out a few good sounds, sighs with your exhale. And now, once you feel like you've come back to your own center, imagine that situation where you are going outside of yourself to please another. Imagine that person right here in front of you. And then see if you can be in connection with this other while maintaining your own magnetic core, while maintaining your own centeredness, without abandoning yourself and staying in your own power. Breathe into that for a few moments. Can you stay in your own power while feeling the energy of this other person or this situation that you've been trying to please, to prove? Can you stay in you while allowing that situation to be, that person to be? And then when you're ready, you can just open your eyes and come on back. And even as we continue our conversation, and still see if you can stay connected to that core of your being, to not lose yourself in these moments. And so I hope that that was helpful. Let me know how that was for you. For those of you who are just joining, I was just sharing a practice about how when you're people pleasing, when you notice that part of you that wants to impress somebody or to prove something or to overextend yourself in order to support somebody else when you're depleted, to come back to yourself and not lose your core while you are in connection with other people. And so I'd love to hear how that was for you. I'm just reading some of the responses. And just as you type those in as well, I just wanted to share that I'm going to be doing these Facebook Lives every Wednesday as just an opportunity to come live and share, connect, and offer some of these tools that really make a difference in leading a life with authenticity, of truth, of greater awareness, so that we can become more free, so that we can have deeper intimacy and connections with the people that we love and our world, our planet, our lives. And I hope that they are helpful. They also are a part of just what I share in my work with clients. And so if you're curious for more, you can always just pop your email in the comments below or send me a message, and happy to share more. Okay, so we've got Mike Pod. Yeah, loving this practice of awareness, that feeling of pleasing people who you deem better or regard as a mentor peer feels like an animalistic response of wanting to be valued in the pack. Yes, yeah. And you get the genetic response in dopamine. Yeah, like in this breathing exercise. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. I love what you just shared there about this animalistic response of wanting to be valued in the pack. I think that's actually a really big, that's the heart behind this, behind the distortion, which can be people pleasing, is really the heart, the desire to be valuable, to add value to our communities, to our relationships, to our planet. And so when we can connect in with that without losing our core, without the distortion of actually it's about me, but I am here, and how can I be of value? How can I be of support in this moment? That's a whole different reframe that maybe results in the same action or behavior, and yet comes from a totally different place where we don't deplete ourselves. Yeah, good. Yeah, Janet's loving these Wednesday connections. The breeze, the green behind me is lovely. Yeah, it's gorgeous. It's yeah, I'm in Costa Rica right now in this beautiful, beautiful land. I'm so nourished by nature. So yeah, feeling grateful. I'm glad that you're here, Janet. And Ivy, difficult for me to think of others and still feel the energy in your body. Good awareness to have all practice. Yeah, beautiful. And you'll notice it in the moments that come up in life, right? Where it's like, oh, there I am, just going outside of myself in this moment. And how can I come back to that magnetic core and respond from there? Yeah, Tammy, you are welcome. Veronica, feeling was totally golden, lightful. Great to have this magnetic in your own space. Wonderful. Thanks for tuning in, Veronica. Okay, so I think I will leave it here for today. So thank you so much for joining me for the Wild Woman Codes, which is really more like Wild Human Codes. I love having everybody here, and I look forward to tuning in next week. Next week is going to be about pleasure. And so what is it to be led by pleasure? And this is a part of the Wild Woman Codes Facebook series that I'm doing this month to support you with tools on this path, implementable tools that you can activate in your everyday life in order to feel more alive and have more authenticity in your relationships. Yeah, thank you, Danielle, for being here. It's really good to see you. Thank you all. And yeah, I look forward to connecting again soon. If you have a little nugget or gem that you want to pop into the comments below, feel free to do that. I read every single one. And yeah, you're welcome, Ivy. A pleasure. And oh yeah, one little gift as well is some of you already have it, that I recorded a masterclass. It's actually exclusively for the temple, but I'm just sharing it this month because I feel like everybody should have them, which are the tools for emotional empowerment, tools to be able to learn how to move your own stuck, heavy, dense emotions in a powerful way and come into a practice that can be deeply supportive in conflict resolution, either within your own self or with another person. And so if you haven't got that masterclass yet and you'd like it, just again, DM me with your email, comment below, and I'm happy to share that with you. Okay, my loves, thank you again so much. And I look forward to connecting again soon.